So I had this whole thing in my head. I was like, for the intro, I'd have you go like, you'd be like, eat shit, Grizzlies, go Cats, go. And I'd be like, bam, 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 bam. But obviously, it's not going to work out like that in my mind. But Welcome back, everybody, to a special edition of the R&R Catcast.
Cat Griz.
It's that time of year, isn't it?
You know what it's not? It's not Griz Cat.
Oh my gosh, please just never call it that. I wrote down a couple of things. What do you think of the Brawl of the Wild?
Don't take my thunder. We'll talk about that later. I had that question too. I'm curious your thoughts on that. We'll get to that.
I do have a thought on the Griz Cat. It sounds like its own animal. Like, hey, I might have saw a Griz Cat in the woods yesterday. What do you think? That's a scary Griz Cat over there. Don't go over there.
Do you remember that show on Nickelodeon when we were, I don't know, probably in our early teens or earlier, the Cat Dog? Remember that show?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's not Dog Cat. That sounds really stupid. Just saying. Then maybe it's its own animal. Griz Cat sounds like its own animal. Either way, it's Cat Griz. It sounds better. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you'll never hear any cat fan ever call it Griz Cat, but you'll hear about 50-50 maybe from the Griz fans. Like, not even all the Griz fans are on board with it, so it's pretty funny.
I don't even like Brawl of the Wild. I think that's kind of silly, but
I said we were going to talk about that later.
Okay.
But now I don't know. Anyway, what are you drinking? We talked about what we're going to drink. Very important. I chose carefully. You go first.
Well, that's my introduction, Ryan. Thanks a lot, buddy. I'm drinking one of my favorite beers that I found out over this past year. It's from Fort George, which is in Astoria, Oregon. It's called City of Dreams. It's a pale ale. It's a hazy pale ale. And over the summer, the hazy kick was everywhere here in Eastern Washington. So they were hazing everything, IPAs, pale ales, everything. So if you don't know what a hazy beer is, basically pour it out of the can and you'll see what the hazy means. It's just really good. It's very citrusy. It's the pale ale. It's 5.5, so it's nice and easy to drink. It's just really good. And it's got a cool little can. It's got like this Port Little City on there. It's a really neat looking can. Again, I'm attracted to a nice can. So good beer, good can. Good brewery. They had one today from Fort George called the Optimist. I was like, I'm almost bought that just based off of what week we're in. So, but that's what I'm drinking tonight.
Is a hazy beer like the beer equivalent of like a dirty martini?
Sure. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know either.
I know it's like a craze. Like you'll see it a lot now. Like Sierra Nevada has a beer called a Hazy Little Thing, and at least my local brewery, I've talked about them before, Perry Street, and they had 3 or 4 hazies on at one point. So some people call them like a New England style IPA or pale ale, but I've been seeing them more or less just called hazy.
So you know what a sidebar here? You know what a red beer is, right?
Well, it depends on what you call red beer.
Well, not like a red style beer, just a red beer.
Well, like I said, depends. Like I think of red beer as like a Miller Lite with tomato juice.
Yes. So you said New England style beer. It reminded me of a story when I was in Boston, and nobody had any idea what I was talking about when I ordered a red beer. So
that's interesting because you went to Montana State, and we don't order red beers. We will order Clamato beers.
I ordered a red beer, but I just ordered it with Clamato because I liked Clamato better.
Yeah, me too. Is that a Montana thing?
It must be. I used to get it at the Hideaway all the time. I don't even know if the Hideaway is still around, but that's where I would drink a majority of my red beers for sure.
They are pretty good.
So
I like to put a little bit of seasoning salt on top too. That tastes pretty good.
Too much work.
Whatever.
Seasoning salt and koozies.
I like koozies. You know,
Yeah,
speaking
I
of
know.
which,
You,
I
you just
still got one. It's right here. It's on my beer right now. It's awesome. Keeping
is
my
it
beer nice and cold.
keeping your hand nice and warm.
Yep.
I'm happy for you.
Dual purpose.
All right. Well, so I went down to my local grocery store to try and find a Montana beer, and we have what is the brewery, the big one in Missoula? Why can't
Ooh,
I'm
it's a
blanking
Big
on the
Sky.
name? Yeah, the one that makes like Moose Drool,
Big Sky.
which I like, but I ain't drinking it this week. So my next closest beer was Montucky Cold Snacks, which apparently is not even brewed in Montana. So, but it's like owned and operated in Bozeman, so close enough. Have you ever had Montucky Cold Snacks?
I think I've had one.
Yeah, it's just like a light lager. It's okay, but hey, Bozeman beer, sort of better than a Missoula beer, completely.
And
So
you can find it in Western Washington. There you go.
it's everywhere. Montucky Cold Snacks is everywhere. It's in every single like grocery store out here. They're doing good distribution. Those guys.
It's interesting. I don't feel like I necessarily see it a lot in Spokane.
Well, you and your hazy beers. I've never heard of a hazy beer out here. So
Well, catch your eye now. Now that I introduced you to that term, you're going to see it. You know, just watch.
I usually ignore the wall of Washington beers because 95% of their IPAs and IPAs are disgusting.
You and I are going to disagree on that, but
Yeah.
we don't have to hash that out.
Nope. All right. So there's the beer segment. You want to get into Cat Griz
Not really.
discussion? No.
I guess we have to, right?
Yeah, let's talk about the game. I mean, we don't have to get too in depth. If you want really good analysis, I mean, Coulter, Brooks, Skyline, even Gus Tutel on the ESPN show, they've been giving some great content this week so far. Real in depth previews, matchups, and stuff like that. We'll talk about that, of course, but we don't know anything near what, especially Coulter, especially Brooks. I love what Brooks says, but I know you do too. But we're not going to get to that in-depth level, but we are going to give it the college shot. So,
as we say, and another thing, kind of on that, Coulter and his crew over at Skyline have done just a tremendous job of pushing out like authentic, great, in-depth content. And we're not here to, impeach or not impeach. What's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
Basically steal any of his content or, go, piggyback off of what they're saying. And we talked about that before we got on, that we didn't want to just kind of rehash anything that they were putting out. And again, we're just two guys sitting around on a Wednesday night, just talking about it from a fan's perspective. Yeah. So we'll bring that flavor to it.
You're in the middle of a move. I've had kind of a hectic week here too. It's just been like, all right, let's see if we can find some time to do the Cat Griz special we talked about. So
I've been looking forward to it. And now that we're talking, I'm feeling a little bit better about it. So
good. Yeah. I hadn't really gotten excited about the game until today. I don't know if I was still in the haze. Nice haze from the Northern Colorado game. It's just where I just wasn't satisfied, and I hadn't really been excited yet for Cat Griz. But here today, I just kind of like a lightning bolt, like, oh yeah, it's time. It's Cat Griz week. Let's do this.
Do you remember what I texted you Saturday night?
No, I had several beers at that point.
I texted you, and I was kind of tongue-in-cheek, but a little bit kind of true. And if I'm honest, I really don't like Cat Griz week all that much.
It's like the week you love to hate. Like, it's just like, you can't stop thinking about it. You get nervous. You get excited. You're like, I don't want to lose. I hope we win. It's just, it's wrenching all week. That's for sure.
For sure. It's almost too much pressure on me. Like, I found myself this morning, I was up around, 5 or so, and I was thinking about matchup stuff, and I was like, I need to continue to sleep. I need my sleep at this point. My son is going to be up in a little bit. I'm going to have to get up early anyways. It's like, I'm just thinking about Cat Griz matchups. I'm like, okay, first quarter, we gotta We got to control the tempo. I'm just like,
Segue, perfect time.
too much pressure.
Yep, I hear you. So, like I said, that's perfect time to actually talk about some matchups. Let's start at the beginning. Do you want the ball first or not in this game?
I would defer.
I agree. We had been texting with a little bit, and I like what Driscoll Cat said. I always forget about the fact that in Washington Griz especially, you want the ball in the second half because nobody's there. And that's not really a knock. I mean, it is a knock on them, but it's a point from which we have no footing to stand on either because we're no better at it. But you definitely want that ball in the second half so your offense can operate in relative silence. So I agree. You definitely want to kick off to start with, but you also don't want to give up yet another opening drive touchdown in a game like this either.
No.
So that's the downside. You don't want one of my biggest keys is just turn Dalton Snead into the bad version of Dalton Snead, the one that he was those 3 games, that 3-game losing streak. So if he gets rolling right off the bat with that energy and just gets rolling, that's going to be bad omen. So you're putting a lot of pressure on the defense right to start.
Absolutely. And to me, that was my key point, is trying to create that pressure. If we sit back and play kind of a conservative defense, some people call it like a base defense. Well, I don't know. Maybe we do get to him because as cataloged in many discussions, the Grizzlies O-line is their weakest point, and our defensive line is one of our biggest strengths. But, one thing I would really kind of want to see is some dialed-up blitzes. And something we have talked about a little bit this year, we haven't really seen as many blitzes as we would normally do. So I'm interested to see what Greg Rack dials up. Is he going to be aggressive and bring some exotic looks, or are we going to stay pretty much what we've been doing all year long?
So yeah, that's one of the matchups I had highlighted. It was the Griz offensive line versus our D line front 7, depending on if you're bringing pressure or not. But I think we can get pressure on them. That doesn't mean a whole lot though when you're talking about Dalton Snead. It's like everyone gets pressure on Snead because the Griz offensive line has been Swiss cheese all year. They've gotten a little bit better, granted, and maybe they have something in them, and maybe we're going to come out there and run our front 4 and not get anywhere near them. But that's going to be one of the biggest keys. Is I think we have to get to Snead. We have to hit him. We have to make him make quick decisions and not let their deep patterns develop. So even if you're flushing them out, like the Cats don't have a ton of sacks this year, but the D line has been very disruptive. And I don't know I don't think the Big Sky keeps track of like hurries or anything like that. But I think we would have to be pretty high in that category. We have a really good pass efficiency defense, and I think a lot of that is because the defensive line is forcing quarterbacks out of the pocket, flushing them and making them throw on the run or making them throw and getting hit. Like the sacks don't necessarily tell the tale of how good the D-line has played this year.
No, the thing that I worry about most is he's kind of like Gage Gubert, where if you get too much pressure, he'll just step up and he'll just run for it. So that's what I'm worried about. You know who used to do that against us quite a bit, who played for the Grizzlies? Jordan Johnson.
Yeah, we talked about him last episode. 2 episodes devoted to Jordan Johnson now, or at least a mention of Jordan Johnson.
Dalton Snead's a poor man's Jordan Johnson, though.
He's probably a better runner, but he's not as good a thrower. But not to say Snead's a bad thrower, but he dials it. He definitely stares his receivers down a little bit, and he's not super accurate when he's under pressure. Because he's I don't know who I was listening to today, but he kind of gets geeked up a little bit like Troy does. So it's going to be interesting to see if we can't, because this is the biggest game I think Snead's had in his career. So he's going to have to keep his emotions, like he's going to have to be level headed too, because otherwise he's going to turn into interception happy Snead.
I think there is a X factor of him and a couple, on both sides, people who've never played in this game. How are they going to handle that magnitude? And it'll be interesting to see. You're right, Ryan. If he's geeked up like you said, and he comes out first half and throws 2 interceptions or makes a silly mistake, that could be it.
It's going to snowball on him.
Well, it could be it. You look back through the scores, and I think this game is going to be decided in the first half. That's my prediction. I mean, amongst other predictions that we're just like throwing out here in this whole thing, and which probably the lion's share are probably way off. The thing that keeps coming back to me is how's this first quarter going to go? And I think that's going to be a big, I don't know, just like sign of how the game's going to go.
Yeah, I would even dial that right down to the opening possession, or maybe not even the opening possession, but who strikes first is going to be huge.
Mm-hmm. Exactly,
because it's going to just change the direction of the game on that.
Who's willing to gamble first? Pretty much, I think if we get the ball first, let's say we get the ball first, I'm pretty certain Matt Miller has a scripted drive first, whatever. First, maybe 2 drives are scripted, or first so many plays are scripted, because, if we get the ball first, the noise level is just going to be deafening. It's going to be silent count from the get-go. And we're going to know what we're going to do right away. Troy Anderson sees any daylight, he's going to be gone. And, wouldn't that be one of the coolest things to see is, second play of the game, third play of the game, Troy Anderson rips off a 60-yard touchdown, 70-yard touchdown, silences the crowd. That'd be awesome.
I hadn't really thought about that point until you just mentioned it. Is our offense is probably going to be okay with the noise because, the snap count is a little bit different from how we run our offense. It's more basic. It's not anything fancy. So, and it's so much of it's just running game, run left, run right. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know. We're also pretty prone to procedural penalties as it is. So maybe I'm crazy and I'm wrong, because that's one of the other keys I have highlighted is dumb penalties. Can't do it. We're going to do it though. We're going to do it.
I won't concede any of that, man. I just think that's bad juju.
Yeah. I don't know. We just haven't shown, like even in Northern Colorado, we did some really dumb things, like just some boneheaded plays. It's just, and at this point you are who you are, like Choate says. So as long as we just don't do them where it really kills a drive, is where it's just the timely ones that really get us. Yeah. And we're not built for procedural penalties, because now we're 5 yards behind the sticks, and that's much harder for us. So,
I don't think we have the balanced offense to continue to, sustain calculated drives. I think when we score, it's going to be big plays, big chunk plays. And that's going to it's going to be awesome when we do that. But it's going to hurt us on defense when we have to go back out there. So that's kind of that double-edged sword we had talked about. And
yeah,
I don't know though. We have shown the propensity to have a sustained drive. It just, gosh, there's so much. You never know with this game. You never know.
And that's really the wild card. It's Cat Griz.
Yeah.
We can talk about matchups all day long and say the game's going to be this way, and it's going to be the complete opposite.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's a good point. And that's another matchup. You had kind of talked about who brings the energy or, stuff like that. Is like Choate versus Hauk in that regard. Like, how do you think Hauk feels coming back from this? And how do you think Choate feels going up against, somebody not Bob Stitt this time around?
To be honest with you, I was thinking like Choate and Hauk should have some sort of like feats of strength competition before the game, where they just square off in like some sort of Olympic style activities.
Man, like if these guys are around for a while, it's going to be such a fun battle because Hauk's going to be borderline disrespectful, not really talk very much, kind of I'm never going to spend any money in Bozeman kind of stuff, and Choate's going to come out and just block him on Twitter. So it's going to be fun to see those guys just spar just outside the game, just the verbal combat or on social media and press conferences. Did you hear Choate say that basically that Hauk should have sent him a thank you card?
Yeah,
that was pretty funny and it's true. Like Hauk would not have this job if Choate didn't beat Stitt 2 years in a row.
Though I kind of see it a little bit different from you. I do think beyond what everybody wants to make it the trash talk, I think Hauk and Choate have a great deal of respect for each other. And
it's true, but that doesn't mean it's not entertainment.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
I don't feel like that was the case when Ash was our coach, and I don't feel like that was the same way when Stitt was their coach. In that way, I think Rob Ash was what Bob Stitt was.
Yeah.
In terms of knowing the importance of this game, they lacked it, and they just didn't have that moxie that you need to have in this game in order to prepare your team.
No, Bob Stitt really was in a lot of ways a lot like Rob Ash. Bob Stitt was a little bit more, I won't say full of himself, but Bob Stitt was definitely more of a self-promoter. But other than that, they didn't really have that like killer instinct. They didn't really have that. They weren't like players, coaches so much as Hauk and Choate are. So it's interesting to see both programs kind of had those kinds of coaches and both brought back like high bravado kind of guys back on the helm. So everything's kind of cyclical. And here we are running a very cyclical offense kind of thing, very throwback offense. So it's kind of funny how that all works out.
So Thorny, let's move into not so much matchups. If you want to touch on some more stuff, I mean, it can come up. But let's talk about some memories.
The only other matchup I wanted to mention before we get too far on is the Griz. I've heard a lot about how the Griz wide receiver core is just going to have a huge advantage over our secondary, and I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't agree with that either.
Our guys are small, but they're smaller than everybody. If a guy's 6'4", 6'2", it doesn't matter. Jalen Cole's like, 5'7"? He's still going to make a play on the ball. He's still going to crush you.
Mm-hmm.
Like our guys have been playing just that well, I think. Like they've been Filer and Allen are just a great combination back there.
It seems like our safeties are in really good position this year. How many of Allen's interceptions have come off of just being in the right place at the right time?
It's true. Like even that last interception at Northern Colorado, which was an awful pass. That's one of the reasons I wasn't super excited about that game, because that interception was a gift. I don't know if you didn't see the game. He missed his receiver by 5 yards, and Munchie he just got a hand on it and tipped it straight backwards right into Jacque's hands. But that's another thing. Like Jacque he's in the right spot to make the play, and I wouldn't be surprised if he comes away with an interception. They're communicating well. They're very, very full of sure of themselves, not a little cocky, a little swagger, I guess. Swagger is just a modern day word of saying cocky, really. But that they're playing well, and I don't think just because the Griz receivers are big physical receivers that they're going to have a distinct advantage. Snead's not going to make that throw necessarily if they're blanketed all over the field.
No, and if they have Tyrone Fondono breathing down his neck, or Derek Marks or Bryce Sturck, you name it.
So, I mean, sorry, that's our matchup I want to talk about. Really, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but I just wanted to get my matchup checklist.
You do a really good job at interrupting me and diverting what I want to talk about. So,
well, yeah, you kickstart into the next phase before I'm ready, so got to reel you back.
Okay.
All right.
Are you ready now? Can we proceed?
Yeah. Hold on. I just took a drink. All right, let's do it.
All right, Ryan, why don't you tell us when you were a Griz fan?
Oh, man. Glad I interrupted you.
Yeah.
So
I had to bring that one out.
I'm pretty sure I've posted this on the board once or twice over the years, but I grew up a Griz fan, that's for sure. I lived in Missoula. I had 2 stints in Missoula. Growing up, I moved around a lot when I was a kid, but spent some good time in Missoula. Went to a lot of Griz games back before they had the end zone seated. They had like a big grass. We would buy like the little Pizza Hut boxes and slide down them. Me and my sister when we were kids. So definitely Griz fan. Parents both Griz alum. Outside of that, extended family is fairly split, but definitely was a Griz household. And I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't even a Cat fan when I came to MSU. I did not want to go to MSU. I wanted to do computer science though, and Bozeman definitely had a better computer science program than Missoula did. So I ended up coming to Bozeman, joining the marching band. I was at the Cat Griz game in Missoula in the marching band when the streak was broken, and that's when I kind of just school spirit just smacked me in the face.
Baptized.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, oh wait, this is sweet. I don't know, because I was never a diehard Griz fan, but I definitely was. So just never had a huge connection to it in any way. Like I can't even fathom rooting for the Griz in any way, shape, or form now. I'm definitely not even one of those, we're all from Montana, let's root for them. No. Yeah. I hope they lose every game they ever play, unless maybe it benefits us in some way. Like if the Griz have to beat this team and that team losing is the reason we get into the playoffs, I'll think about it. But yeah, thanks for outing me for my youth, my Griz fan youth. But we all make mistakes when we're young, and here I am. I've seen the light.
I don't hold it against you, Ryan.
I'm pretty sure I had to make an amends by now. I don't think I would be doing a Bobcat podcast as a 35-year-old parent of 2 kids, like on a Wednesday night after the kids are in bed. If I wasn't a diehard Bobcat fan.
Not only a podcast, quite possibly the 4th best Montana State podcast.
Yeah, I think the Northern Colorado episode might have moved us into 5th place.
Oh gosh. Okay.
So yeah, that's my story. I don't know if I still have it. I have like a 1996 autographed football from like most of the Griz team. So I don't know what happened to it. I think it's gone.
There you go.
But yeah, all my Griz gear is long gone.
So when I grew up, I have family in the Bozeman area, in Bozeman. And so I always kind of grew up a Bobcat fan, but it wasn't something I really followed. My father went to Ohio State, and so that was mainly the team I ended up cheering for. So we just, always on Saturdays watch the Buckeyes because they're on TV, and my dad went to Ohio State, and so we were just Buckeyes before we were Bobcats. Enter 2001, a freshman. We go to the very first game of the year. I remember this. We were playing at Adams State, and the year before 2000, I think we were 0-11, if that rings a bell, underneath Kramer. And so when I kind of knew that because as a senior, I was like, you pay attention, and you're like, okay, well, we really kind of suck at football. So I walk up to the game, not knowing what to expect. I've never been to a college football game before in my life. I'm like, there's no one here, So like naturally, I go in the middle of the student section. I'm go, okay, well, what's the best seat? I'm gonna go right down on the 50-yard line. We're playing Adams State, and halfway through the game, Tyler Thomas was our quarterback. And do you remember that guy?
Yes, I do.
He was horrible.
Yes, he was.
So we're playing Adams State, and actually, it might make sense now. It just dawned on me. I think Adams State is the Grizzlies. Are they the Grizzlies?
Oh, I think you're right. Actually, I think they are the Grizzlies.
Oh, this totally makes sense now. I just put this together because there was a frat behind me, and I'm sitting there, and they're spending half the game yelling, "Eat shit, Grizzlies! Go Cats, go!" I'm like, we're not even playing the Grizzlies, or are we? I don't know. Now I'm confused. So,
That's the one time that chant works outside of Cat Griz.
well, at that point, when I was there, I was like, I was thinking, of course, Missoula, and I was like, man, there's some hatred there. So, go throughout the season, and they come to the Grizzlies came to Bozeman that year, and I remember walking up on the stadium and to get a Cat Griz ticket. I remember one game they're just like, well, if you want a Cat Griz ticket, just go show your one card and they'll get one. Like, there was no like official line. It was pretty low key. You could just walk up and you're like, yeah, I'll take one. So I got one. And I'm walking up, and I remember just like seeing like these Grizzly couple, and they had like some obscene T-shirt where this Grizzly was just giving it to the Bobcat, and it had some sort of, the streak number was on there. It was at that point, it was like, what was it, 15-0, and we end up being competitive in that game, which was pretty cool. But we lost, and next year it was when the streak ended. But
thanks to me joining the marching band.
Yeah, so but that was kind of like
everybody.
my adoption into the Cat Griz rivalry, and I did miss a game that year as a freshman. In fact, I went 5 years at Montana State, only missing 3 because I was dating this girl in Missoula. But over the years, it just grows and grows and grows. And I remember when we won, we beat the streak. I was sitting in North Hedges. I was rooming up on the second floor, and just the moment that felt like it was just an important moment. And seeing. I think it was Joey Thomas at that time. He came across the edge and blocked a field goal to keep it at 10-7. I might be missing that stat or something, but I think we blocked a field goal to keep it at 10-7.
I have like hardly any memory of that game because I was there, so there was no TV angles in my memory banks. That's just me in the end zone and a bunch of other band gigs surrounding me, and just kind of barely being able to see the game and pay attention to the game, and getting harassed by Griz fans quite a bit.
Well, I mean, I totally remember Lule hitting Junior Adams for that touchdown.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, just in us smothering Johnny Montana in that game.
Yeah.
That game just ending up at a 10-7 score is just wild to think about that being the Cat Griz. But just the instant relief it felt that we go on and win that. And then the next year, my favorite Cat Griz memory of all time. Corey Smith takes it to the house, very first play of the game. I had never in my life been in an environment that loud. When he broke it, I remember these guys, middle of the student section, we had thunder sticks. Do you remember the thunder sticks?
Yes. There was a guy on the Bobcat board.
G-Tap.
Was it G-Tap that bought? I thought it was who's the guy that has like Hank Hill as his avatar?
Although I'm pretty sure it was G-Tap. Anyways, we had thunder sticks. It was cold, and Corey Smith takes it to the house. I get pushed back. I mean, everybody's going nuts. It is loud as I've ever heard it. Somehow I get pushed or high-fived so hard, I fly back. I knock down 3 rows or behind me, people just cascading. Nobody cares. Everybody's getting up. And you know what? The interesting part was? We missed the extra point.
Did we really?
Yes.
That's funny.
We missed the extra point. And I was like, no. Are you kidding me?
I forgot about that. That's funny.
We go down and then we miss the extra point. But it lives in infamy to this day. That was such a cool moment.
What's even funnier now, the highlight of that has, Ty Gregorak on the sideline just furious.
Just cussing. There's no doubt what he's saying.
Yeah, I think that might have been from The Line, the DVD series, The Line, which I have a copy of that somewhere. But yeah, that's Ty Gregorak. Just funny how things work out. And here we are, Hauk back. Gregorak's a Bobcat. And like, what?
I gotta wonder. I mean, how is that playing out in Gregorak's head at this time? Right? how was it playing out in his head when Houck got rehired?
I don't know.
Did you think about that?
Not in particular, but I mean, he has to have moved on. He just probably thinks it's like, I don't know. It's hard to say what he's thinking. There's probably a lot of things he could be thinking, but I'm guessing he's just focused on winning the game.
Yeah,
because he's a guy like that. That's what he does.
I guess.
I mean, you wouldn't have switched to your rival school if you weren't the kind of guy who could put the outside noise behind, like just keep it out.
I think you're right. And I think we are the guys who overthink it. I think he's probably just like, let's go get this. I think my gut feeling is he loves playing not playing. He's not a player. I think he loves working with Choate. Him and Choate are two kindred souls, I assume.
What happened with Kragerak? He was at UNLV, right?
Nope. He was what do you mean, as a player or as a coach?
As a coach.
Oh,
I thought there was some incident with like strippers or something.
I don't think we should get into that. I don't think we should talk about that.
I'm just saying he might have like ill feelings because I don't know if Houck fired him because of that. I don't remember. I'm just trying to wonder the dynamic of how the relationship ended is all I'm really trying to think of. I don't want to dredge up any memories of that kind of stuff. I'm just kind of curious. I don't remember how it ended.
Yeah, I'm not exactly certain, but I don't think it's a positive story. So
no,
stay away.
We
from
don't
that
have to talk
guy.
about that. That's fine. So that's your favorite Cat Griz memory. I mean, mine probably still has to be just being in the band. I loved one of my. You think of all the Cat Griz like highlight reels you can think of. I remember Evan Groves. What year was that? Where he had that? It was like a mud bowl, and he's just like slipping and sliding up the sideline where he ran for like 180 yards or something.
2005.
Yeah, that was a really good memory too. I don't think I was at that one. I think I had to watch it on TV, but.
That was a crazy day because it was one of those weird warm Cat Griz. It was like maybe like 50, 55 that day, sunny, calm. I remember I got a sunburn on the south stands. I was like coming back, my face was just like totally red. I was like, holy cow, I got too much sun. We won 16-6 that game. I felt like we dominated, but I mean 16-6 is not a dominating score.
No, but scores don't always tell the full tale. We'd manhandled them all game. Like we were just the better team, physical team. We just couldn't put the final nail in the coffin. But was it 16-0?
No, 16-6.
No, I mean at one point.
Not sure. I do remember. I'm trying to remember the Grizzlies quarterback's name. He was that kid from California. Man, we made him tough on him all day long.
2005 was it Burke? It wasn't Berquist, was it?
Yeah, that's what his name. Yeah,
Cole Berquist. Yeah,
there it was.
He's pretty decent quarterback. So yeah, it's just fun to think about all the highlights and the lows and the like all the way up to Denarius McGee as a freshman in Missoula, 2010. That was fun too. I was at that one. That was a friggin' cold game.
Is that colder than when we beat the Streak?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it was. I think it was one of the coldest games in Washington Grizzly history, if I remember correctly. It was so cold. I was sitting in like the I don't know what north whatever end zone, like corner of the end zone. There's nobody around me. On the like Grizz fans, Cat fans, nobody. I was just sitting there. My buddy went back to his like tailgate. He's like, I'm out of here. He's like a Cat fan. We're winning the game. I'm just like, I'm sticking here, and I'm just like, my teeth are chattering. It was freezing, but that was a really fun experience too. Like it's getting memorable. Like you're freezing your butt off. Cats win. You don't forget that kind of stuff.
No. I remember being on the field in 2003, taking the goalpost down, watching that thing get walked down to the Rockin' R.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting is if you've never been down on the field, there was a significant crown on that field. Do you remember that?
Yes, I sure do. Yeah.
Holy smokes. I didn't realize it. I mean, you see it when you're up there, but like when you're actually on the field, it was just like, wow. I was like, man, Scott Turnquist running, drag routes across that. And I was just like, man, he's going uphill half the way.
He is. Yeah, it was bad. I was trying to drain, but which it didn't.
No,
So
it
many
was a
mud bowls.
Yeah, it was. So we have an opportunity to win 3 in a row. That would be impressive. There's guys on our team that have never lost to the Grizzlies.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought too. I mean, 2 in a row. It doesn't sound that impressive, but it really, for what this game is and the history of it, it is. In modern times, it is, and I think we match up pretty well across the board. Like I don't see any glaring weakness. Snee does it to everybody, but I think we'll be ready for him. I don't see any like, how are we going to stop this type things, or how are we going to move the ball against them? I think Troy will be able to do it. I think Miller's been putting together good game plans, getting our people involved, and Logan Jones adds in their element. So I think we can win this game.
Well, undoubtedly we can win this game.
I think we will win this game, honestly.
Yep.
It all depends on who comes out more fired up and who has the first game-changing play. And the other thing I might say is maybe the turnover battle. Like whoever wins the turnover margin. Those are kind of the 3 basic things, I guess.
Yeah. No, I do think as long as Choate and Halk are at home, I think this will be a back and forth kind of rivalry. I don't think you're going to see, streaks here and there, at least not too big of a streak. So I'd like to see Choate become, to Montana State what Bobby Halk has become to Missoula. I think that would be good for our state.
It would be nice to be on their side of it and just have a generation of people grow up with that kind of mindset. Because I still think the mindset sometimes, people think about the Griz too much when it's not Cat Griz week. And it's just, you want to shake the little brother tag. And that's why we need to win some more games. Like that's just really the only way to cure that. It's winning games.
Yep.
And I think we can win it. So, you don't like Brawl of the Wild?
No, I think it's a silly name.
I like it. I'm one of the people that are on board with it. I think it's unique. I think it's perfect fit for Montana. I don't understand why everyone hates it. You think it's cheesy? Is that like people think it's cheesy? I don't know. I think it's always a physical game. It's a brawl. Come on. It's Montana. It's the Wild.
I get all of that. I'm not saying that's not true. It's just, let's call it Cat Griz. All right.
Fair enough. All right.
It's not some weird animal called the Griz cat. It's not the Continental Divide battle, or I don't even know. Coulter listed off 5 of them. I was like, well, what are you even talking about? And he
sponsored by D.A. Davidson, the Continental Divide.
No, it's more like sponsored by Lucky Lils.
No, well, that's who it is now, but I'm pretty sure D.A. Davidson had a hand in it at some point. But yeah, it's like Town Pump or somebody now owns everything.
Oh my God. Yeah, like I said.
Gas station conglomerate.
Well, do you have any bold predictions?
So I have my sheet filled out here. I have key matchups, keys, a bunch of stuff we didn't talk about, which is fine. My bold prediction, big fat blank. I can't think of anything. I
Way
would
to
say
come prepared.
You didn't have one either. You probably thought of one at this point, but I haven't.
I actually wrote
you
one
go
down.
first. You go first.
Okay, I'm going to say we have 2 sacks.
2 sacks. That's a good one.
I think those can be game changers. I think those could be like, really put them behind the sticks. Pivotal moments right there.
I don't know if this is real bold, but I think against a decent rush defense like the Griz, I think we both Troy and Afonso go over 125.
Wow. That is a bold prediction.
Well, I was going to say 100, but, go big or go home.
I don't know, man. They got a pretty good guy over their name. What's his name? Of course, I just forget. Who's their...
Dante Olson?
Yeah, that guy.
The guy who has, as Choate pointed out, more sacks or more tackles than he probably should. Did you hear that? That's kind of an interesting comment because And Coulter talked about it. Everyone keeps stats differently, so I never really knew that.
Yeah, me either.
I didn't realize. I didn't realize like the Cats tally tackles different than Northern Colorado does. That's why is there not a standard? That's stupid. But anyway, I don't want to take away from Olsen. He's a great player, but it's just interesting to talk about. But I don't know. They've given up some. Yeah, they have a good rushing defense, but Isaiah Saunders for Idaho had a decent game against them. That Dotson kid from Sac State ran all over them. I mean, they've given up some big chunks. Troy's going to get 125 on like 6 carries. Well, maybe not. That's probably wishful thinking, but he's going to go over 100. I just think a lot of the game depends on getting not Troy going. So the bold prediction is also we might need to do this to win prediction.
Yeah, if we rely on Troy too much, it's going to be we'll shoot ourselves in the foot at one point. But yeah, so I think that's the best thing that Matt Miller has done is he's involved Travis Johnson, Kevin Cassis, and Alphonse in ways that have been regular and steady and not necessarily predictable. And I think that's been really good.
Yeah, I mean, I actually have that as my X factor for the game is Johnson because he can do a lot and he can hurt you in some ways. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him. If anyone's going to take a deep shot downfield, I might bet money on Johnson. Like just kind of a why not kind of thing. You talk about gambles. I think Choate's more likely to make a gamble in this game because he's secured the winning season. He's already proven that he's made the incremental progress that maybe not as fast or as big as most people want, but he's secured his job just by the sole fact he's had a winning season. So I wouldn't be surprised if he really just goes for it and holds nothing back. And because why not win the game? And we're most likely in the playoffs with how the rest of the country is shaken out. It's been a weird couple of weeks, but we have a pretty good shot.
Yeah, so there's nothing to lose in this game. Honestly,
there's nothing to lose. Like worst case scenario, we lose to the Griz, and it's a terrible feeling. We're 6-5. We have all the pieces next year, barring the quarterback. We're just quarterback away, as most of us have been saying all year. So, and I think
that one key piece right there.
Yeah, but I think we have it on the roster. So I think next year is going to be, although not to get too hard on a tangent, we have a ridiculous schedule next year. But I think the point is, I think Choate, if anybody's going to take a gamble this year, because if it pays off, we're in the playoffs, and if it doesn't, winning record for the first time under Choate, first time since the second to last year of Rob Ash.
That's awesome, man. How do you watch the Griz game?
Well,
like, let me clarify what I mean. Like, are you like physically able to watch the whole thing and not like turn away and get too anxious about it? Can you actually just sit down and enjoy the game for what it's worth?
Now you've gone two different extremes there. No, I don't sit down, but no, I can't turn away. I definitely like pace.
Okay.
I'll be walking around. I'll be sitting down. And as soon as you sit down, you jump up and then you go get a beer. And
there you go.
The only time I turn away is if I go get a beer.
There you go. All right.
I've been trying to wonder if I'm going to go to a watch party or not, but I'll probably just stay at home and watch the game. I do have. We both have our bold prediction. What do you have, an over and under?
No.
I do, because I came prepared. See how that feels?
Hey, at least I wasn't a Griz fan, all right? Come on now.
Hey, you brought that up.
Well, you made me mad in the middle when you deflected the way I wanted to go, and you're like, no, we have to talk about this first.
Hey,
like,
you also said, like, unless you have anything else to talk about, why would you say such a thing? If you, that was opening the door, I just happened to jam my foot in the door because I saw it shutting real fast.
All right.
Anyway, over and under, and I have this for a specific reason. I'm pretty sure it's 154 rushing yards from Troy Anderson, because that would break the single season quarterback rushing record. And
I think he's going to go over.
I believe that's an internal record. I don't believe that's or is it a Big Sky Conference? No, it's a Big Sky Conference record. Excuse me. Yeah, it would break. That Brown kid from Cal Poly. Yeah, he has the record right now. So if Troy gets 154, he breaks the record.
I'm going over.
Yeah, I think he can go over too, to be honest. I'm going to go over with that as well.
You know what I really want to see is I want to see like good chunk plays with him on a consistent basis. I don't want to see just like, 2 runs where he's like 60, 50 yards. I want to see 11, 17 yards here and there. Something where we're moving the chains, but we got something we can exploit some sort of weakness and just attack. So that's what I'm hoping for.
I don't think he'll be stopped too many times in the backfield. The only team that really did that really well was Eastern, and the Griz don't have any player like the Eastern linemen. So, their linebackers make plays, but they also, and maybe they'll come up and hit Troy and he'll get 1 or 2 yard carry, but they're also going to miss a read, and he's going to, like you said, he's going to score the long one. But I think he's going to be able to sustain a few 10, 12, 15-yard runs here and there too.
Yeah.
So, all right. I think that about does it.
Yeah.
Unless there's anything else you want to mention. We got just whatever we can talk, but I think I've said everything I want to say pretty much.
Yeah, me too. Excited for it. Always a little bit anxious. Always anxious this week. But
I'm tapping my foot right now. Just excited.
All right. Well, we'll leave it with a go Cats.
Go Cats.
All right, buddy. We'll see you.